My name is Rem Chung, and today I'm going to give a little demonstration of tying RS2s the way I had devised long ago, perhaps in the mid-70s and so on. Well, luckily the fly survived this far, and this particular tying demonstration and recording, I like to have it dedicated to Frank Horvath, a friend of mine for a long time, and fished together, and he's a little bit stubborn in his own way, but that's okay.
Well, thank you, Rem. So Rem, you tie this fly on TM Code 101.
Yes. It's a typical dry fly hook, but 101 has the straight eye, which I somehow prefer having it that way. And well, whatever the reason that I might have, it could be purely subjective. And I'm not about to dispute some of the hook designs and so on that exist in the industry, for I lack in the full knowledge of how they evolved, this and that, and that goes with them. So I just like this one, and that's why I'm simply using it.
So you made, after you tied in the tail, you made a wrap underneath.
Yes, the tying in the tail. Of course, this particular fly was, well, almost fully after the original system of tying fishing flies and so on in general. And I have contrived a certain method of tying this part and that part of the fly in my own way, in order to make it more for the type of a fly that I had envisioned. So even the tying of the tails, I placed each fiber of the microfibet on one side or the other to tie them in, which was truly, I can claim that to be RS2 method. Well, a lot of people use the terminology of techniques. I think it's too big of a word for it. And then traditionally, they did have this type of concept and the practices of tying some of these flies like that. Some of the, that is, the fishing flies with split tails, but they always used a figure-8 type of a splitting method. That is, after tying them in on top of the hook shank. Mm-hmm. And then after that they got them split. In order to do that, well, a figure-8 type of a splitting method was a must, but I started off with virtually splitting beginning of the system. So this is very unique, yet it is perhaps the peskiest thing for the tyer to master in a way. I don't claim to have mastered it, but to be in the realm of proficiency, I think you have to have so much of experience to have it done in a reasonably fast manner and so on. But a lot of them, it's a shame, lots of them don't do it.
And then just to mention the material, you used microfibet for the tail.
Tail, yes.
Just to
Yes.
go on record for that.
Right, right. I think it's the most appropriate the material for the tail of RS2s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the time of originating the fly, there was no such thing as microfibet available in such manner. So I had to use the beaver guard hairs of healthy ones, not the waning type, but the fully healthy type during the midsummer or something along that line. But after I found this one, which was getting marketed, I started using this instead, and well, I'm still doing it. And then after that, well, of course, the tails are tied in, and then, well, I usually use this cement, head cement, to fortify the positioning as well as the durability of the fly in actual use. And then, of course, it's a stage for the dubbing. And use of dubbing itself was, of course, my own concoction. That is, prior to coming of this particular way of doing it, well, I don't believe there was any method that was known to be as such. That is, using the dubbing material, actually having it twisted onto the thread. It was the wax that they used on the thread, so that the shortcut, the dubbing materials were just barely attached to the thread, and made it the body with it, whereby produced the much fatter body of the nymphs rather than slender ones. And particularly when you look at the mayflies, well, heck, it's very slender bodied and so on. So that's what I exactly wanted to imitate. And then one other thing, I may be proceeding too fast, but the designing of the fly itself was to have one style of a fly with which the variation of the colors and the sizes would be freely given, while it's entirely up to the tyer himself to make it in any color whatsoever. There is no restriction in terms of color versus the name of the fly itself. That's why it's named as RS2, not having any particular lineage from the natural insects. So, well, that's how I have done, and I like to see more anglers tying them in such a way. So
as far as the RS2, let's just go on record here that it stands for Rims Semblance number 2.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And a comment about the dubbing is that you use beaver.
Yes, it's beaver. I found it to be the finest dubbing material available from the natural condition. Of course, the silk can be as good, but it has a somewhat different property. Then again, a silk also is a natural material. But it's easier, a little bit easier to use the proper, well, the type of beaver materials first, then silk and so on, more readily, less expensive, and so on. So that part was much more desirable in the practice of tying and the using of the fly.
And also you use, you told me in the past that you like to use longer fibers, like 1 inch or so. Right?
Well, may not be necessary to be 1 inch or so on, but if it's ½ inch or longer, I would consider it to be useful. And the reason being, if you have too short of fibers, the twisting onto the thread becomes extremely tough to manage it in desirable way. So there are certain types and degrees of the selecting the proper quality in beaver furs, such as not only the length, but the beavers, they go through certain type of a process of tanning, which requires a lot of chemicals, and that affects the quality of the fiber. And then since you need different colors than the colors naturally available in beaver, well, you have to dye them, and the dyeing process requires, well, either the bleaching and the dyeing. All those chemicals can affect the quality of the fiber as well. So I cannot really describe it in a precise manner what to look for in the texture-related basis. But there needs to be a little bit of, or I should say, faint, oily texture that you could feel in the fiber. Then it would work so much better. So the quality of the condition actually has direct relationship to the type of the fur in terms of its quality. So sometimes you do it better, sometimes you don't. And that's where you need very good, you need to select very good quality of a beaver furs. While in English language, I understand there is a such thing as, well, fine feathers make fine birds.
Okay.
Well, the same thing. And then the usually discarded material from the saddles, and they used the saddle hackles for wet flies and what have you, and then web part of it, they always discarded it. There was absolutely no use for something like that, but I found it to be useful for making the wing for RS2. That is, I found the natural material and texture-wise more closely resembling the natural, the insects that's newly hatched out and what have you. So I have been using it for, well, ever since. And
you prefer it in kind of a dun color, right? The light.
yes, so the color-wise, I usually prefer dun colors, as you can see on something like this. And perhaps these are most standardized, the central color that I would like to have. And then there could be some variations from this color to lighter one, for instance. When you are tying the PMDs, the color of the body is much lighter and very light cream type of color body, and then I would like to use the lighter color the wing materials and so on. So, well, in realistic sense, I'm not certain whether that helps catching more fish or so on, but at least from our common aesthetical standpoint, while it appears to be more resembling them. So that's kind of hopeful, the avenues for us to make the approach to. So that's how I do. And then this particular fly, which is what I call Bicolor Fly, the body of the fly has somewhat olive, greenish olive color to it. And then I'm making the darkish, not exactly pitch black, but the darkish, the thorax, and the head is going to be, of course, tied off with the darkish thread as well, which is the iron gray. And I had this without having spotted any fly in this particular color combination, but simply having used my own imagination, I came up with the combination and used it in the late 70s. And I kept it ever since. And nowadays, you get to see more flies of various kinds showing up with the bicolor type of combinations and so on. So I probably was right in the vanguard of changes. Over here, I'm tying for the recording of it, and a strange setting. The environmental condition seems to affect my psychological state and other things, so perhaps I cannot produce as well as I would at home when I'm all set without being pressured and so on. So this is something that you will have to be satisfied with. And then, like I said earlier, the fly, even though I have used for a long time, I have not somehow think that it's the best fly there is. I never, not even for a moment, I thought of it in such terms. But well, nevertheless, it can be used in place of many others, and you don't have to be carrying thousands of flies on you and so on. Just a few different styles perhaps, and a few different colors and sizes of RS2s with you, provided you knew what you are doing, will just make the day reasonably a good one.